Hi guys. If I have to tell you a little bit about my story with English, I have to follow a guideline which Xavier has given me. I have to start by thanking you very much for being there, attentive to listen to me. I don't know whether the quality of voice and the quality of image will be good, but I would have to say that. So congratulations for the work that has been done so far. I would say I congratulate Professor Geronimo, the father of VLT in Benguela province. Remember, um, congratulate Kavala, the father of VLT in Benguela city. At least we know that. And I also congratulate Sasoma, the the brilliant combatant of the English field and English specialty today. Um, these boys of mine, Xavier, Chitungu, um, and who else? The now provincial director of our provincial director of the Department of the English Language Teaching today in Benguela province, and I congratulate them twice for these elements. Um, what I have to say is that when my father decided to shove me off home, I was only 13 years old, and it hurted me a lot. I really couldn't understand that was a position to be taken by a father. My father had a lot of experience. He traveled a lot, and he knew many people. He knew many places in the world, and he knew what the future was bringing to me in a very short period of time. And this made me move from home, and I went to Cuba. All this related to English is linked to my first teachers in Cuba, Professor Tuapita. Um, I don't know whether the guy's still alive, but was my first motivation into the English language um, adventure. And then I had Professor Ribeiro Martins Florindo, who has been a brilliant teacher of mine in Out Catumbela as well, where I stayed for 1 year. And then I found Professor Benai in Uganda. Professor Benai in Uganda, the one who he was young and very live with English, so he had been the first model we had to follow. And these were my motivations and they were my models at the primary school. Then I went to Lubito for the continuation of my studies. And I remember there is this magistral personality, Professor Massima Jose, who I loved very much. Sometimes I had to ask him to allow me to get into his classroom to teach. He was very famous, and his English was really very good. Then I also had Professor Dinesh Vandorsikala Mandinas, who had to come my man much value today. So yes, he has been in my life for such a long time, and he taught me English and a lot of English. So we loved him because he had a dent, a fend in his teeth, which allowed him to pronounce English. The th sound very, very specially. It was just his luck. And then at Ina as well, I met this guy who might be around you. This is Professor um, Geronimo Chiambo, who's been my friend for such a long time, and a friendship that is constructive, and a person whose personality I really love much and has been a guidance so far. And Geronimo was very special for me because when Geronimo came from the UK, he had this brilliant London accent. I loved much because it was kind of accent that I used to listen to in music and in the cassettes, and I was really very careful with his accent, and I loved that. And then I copied, and he got to be my friend. Um, well, and there is a story behind that. When when I was a student, I was already somehow clever, and he trusted me. One day he decided he had to go to a meeting, and he had me to carry out the task of writing down the things on the board. But I really didn't understand that he told me that he was going to a meeting and was coming back. My English, he trusted my English, but my English wasn't that good that time. And I really didn't understand what he wanted. So what happened is that when he came back, he found the classroom empty. What did Botelho do? Yeah, Botelho told the classrooms, after you have finished copying, go, professor has freed you. So see you next week. That was just 2 lessons one week and other 2 lessons next week. Well, and these are my professors and the ones who are in my memory. They've helped me a lot. Now there is Professor German Dombes-Zakolo that I really cannot forget. This is the king of Celeste, Centro de Línguas Estrangeiras, Revolução. I was the first, I think that was the first most famous center of English language in Benguela province. And that was, and has been working for Benguela for such a long time that the government should recognize his having made many of the intellectuals we have in Benguela that can speak English. And most of the teachers we have in these schools passed through his hands. Well, and I also had the influence of Xavier, who worked with, was a really very good guy who was the model of the American English. He worked with German Dombes-Zakulu as well. Well, when I finished at INE, no, that was before I finished INE, because that time, if you are moving from grade 10 to grade 11, if you don't join the education services, then you are fired from school. Then that's what they used to threaten us. If you don't go and work, then you don't study. So I had to be a teacher, and I was a teacher of Portuguese because I was doing my specialty was Portuguese teaching. And I cannot forget, in this perspective, the very influential Bertolini Nelson, uh, this guy who made my Portuguese to be the one that I have today. This is very credited to him. Has been a very big influence. I worked as an English teacher as well, and then started to open a center. We had a center at Bella Vista and Quota in Lubito, and we taught English there in a center called Luiz de Filho. But this time is also coupled to very good friends who have followed my life so far. I could remember Chiputu Andre, Chiputu. That could be Chiputu. Yeah, Andre. That is Pati. Pati and his brother Alain. Alain unfortunately died 2 weeks ago, and I'm really very sorry for that. They used to give me American newspapers and magazines that their brother, their father, used to bring from the United States of America. Their father was a very troubled person. Well, and what else do I have in my notes? Also have to remind myself of Gervas Massima. Gervas Massima was that young boy who had been very clever. His father could speak English, Mr. Massima, and he also could speak English. And he knew I loved English. And then the guy used to give me cassettes or record uh, cassettes for me, musics, and he gave me the lyrics as well. Would write some lyrics, and he incentivized me to write the lyrics on the musics. With the music, I started speaking very good English because I used to force myself to speak, to pronounce the words in the way they were pronounced in the cassettes in the music. I also remember of Américo Cotumo was my mate at the boarding school, and Joaquim da Silva Domingos. Well, there were many famous people who could already speak English who helped me a lot. Joaquim da Silva Domingos was good because he really didn't like speaking a lot, but his tests were always 18, 20. Then the guy would study a lot, and he could speak, but he was a little bit shy. But he could speak when it was time to speak. He could speak very good English, and he helped me a lot because we lived together in the same room, so we shared the same room at the boarding school. Now there was this guy from two guys from Kwanzaa Sul, Chimbambala and Kwayunda. Kwayunda came from Kwanzaa Sul and had been working for the Save Children for a long time, and his English was really good. And this helped me a lot, having been together and trying to know new words and new ways of expressing in English, very natural way. And this and Francisco and Chimbambala were cousins. Chimbambala was a teacher at the school where I was teaching Portuguese, so this made me move into the practice of English language teaching as well. But I cannot forget Afrikaans. Afrikaans was a guy who came from Namibia, and but he's Angolan. He worked for Buffalo Battalion, South African Buffalo, which was used uh, by the South African regime, the apartheid regime, to get into to get involved into attacks against the strategic positions of the Angolan economic sector. Um, Valdez, Valdez is famous. Was the I mean Valdez was the black English in a Lubito, maybe in Benguela as well. Was really very famous and still is. I don't know where about might be nowadays, but it's been an influence on us, all of us, because Valdez was brilliant in English and was respected for that. These have influenced my academic life today. But when I was in these all these this influence helped me to have um, jobs like the job I had, a paramilitary job I had for the Norwegian people say it, NPA, whose job was to demine, and work with all the UXOs. UXOs are unexploded ordinances like grenades and all kinds of grenades that were left in the battlefield those times. And we were in a war. Uh, we were in a war, and we had to move all this through from place to place in Angola to see where the mines were and where the ordinances were left and remove them. And that was really a sacrificing job, but was good. When I got in Lubangu, where we were, I was forced to open to be in a recently open base of um, that is a base where we worked um, at the mining base, a base which was used to support all the mine fields around Huila province, Cunene province, and the BA province as well. Anyway, and we were the base element of connections with the United Nations and all the NGOs and Oslo, because that was a Norwegian company, and the United Nations. All right. So in Lubango, something happened. One day I was moving down to the market. The market was called Chioko, and I came across two boys I know very well. Kavala was my colleague. We were transferred to Uganda. I ran away, and the guy went to Uganda. And from Uganda, he ran away from Uganda to Lubango with Sasoma, because Sasoma was this crazy guy who really never conformed with the static environment anyway. And he decided, well, I'm going to Lubang. He arrested with him Kavala, and there I met these two boys, and we decided the plan. I also want to study, just like that. And I was late that day by that time, and I had to wait until the next year. So the next year I joined ISET in Lubango, and I worked as a soldier, and I also left sometimes to go to school. Let me tell you what the strategy was. When Dini, when Denise, I started 1 year earlier, but when Denise closed the base in the Lubit, we had to go to he had to go to Lubango to meet to join us, and he joined us. This was really very good. What happened is I was working. The initiator took over me in the morning or in the afternoon or in the evening. When he started studying as well, so we had to shift. When he goes in the morning, I go in the afternoon, and when he goes in the afternoon, I go in the evening. That's how we did our ISET there. We were soldiers, but we were doing ISET. We were doing the English course. Well, what do I remember from Lubango? I do remember the work of my professors. Professor Piedos, who influenced me a lot with his English accent. That's a London accent. That was the same accent which attracted to me from Geronimo Chiambo. And I still think that I've got strong accents, a strong influence of the accents from Geronimo and Professor Piedoso. Castillo Kakumba influenced me a lot in the skills I have in investigation. That is, research skills I have today are indebted to Castillo. This is for sure. But I also remember Professor Luisa, the late Professor Luisa, whose enthusiasm fired me up for loving English. Yeah, that was the way she spoke, the way she taught was that, okay, teaching is the best thing ever in life. And Professor Carlos Afonso Mai Vaidoso, oh, I cannot explain. Then ask Sassoma, ask Kavala, and they will tell you who Carlos Afonso is. That was the most Vaidoso professor we used to have. His English was that Englishman. And up to date, his English is the English I love to listen to. It's really very good. Very young, very young insider. That's still young. What else do I have to? It's already 18 minutes. The implementation of ELT as a specialty started strongly with Geronimo. Soon as he arrived from the UK, we have to say that. And sometimes I say that Geronimo is the father of the ELT. Geronimo Chiambo, Nimo, is the father of the ELT in Benguela province, at least. Then we can debate this. I don't know. And the same way I can say that Kavala is the father of ELT in Benguela city. Because the guy ran away from Lubito, where he had the contract already given, and he decided, now I'm going to be the king in Benguela. So he started the course of English in Benguela. But what is important in here, Kavala, in 2008, I already had came because I finished it. I had come because I finished it in 2008, December. And I had been invited to work for the ELT specialty in Lubango. But I had a family in Lubito, so I couldn't go back. But this caused some misunderstandings and disapproval somehow from my professors who were trusting me to join them, and because they really needed teachers to support them. There were very few teachers teaching all the subjects. And then in 2005, we started the English course. but it was not easy to start that. We had problems. Who is going to go? Who is going to go to Lubango to have these contacts with those experienced teachers who already have the programs and they can help Sasoma couldn't go for personal reasons, and Kavala neither. Um, so they told me, okay, you are the only one who has just come, and you can go there and try to negotiate the programs and try to see whether you can bring some books. Then this is what I did, and I came and we started the course here. There was a very big hand of Professor Piedoso who really, because it was at the beginning of the project, and the idea of opening the course in here, Professor Piedoso was always eager to have this course uh, opened in Benguela. Um, uh, yeah, well, at that time there was this. When I came from Lubanga, I found uh, the course had to start, but there were no conditions to start the course because there were no books, there were no classrooms, there were no material. And Geronimo and Gongo Cunha, uh, Antonio Gongo Cunha, well, they looked at the conditions there were, said, no, we cannot start with this kind of adventure. But this Sasoma, my little crazy guy, he said, okay, either we go or we go. We don't have any way out. We cannot stop. This is the chance that has been opened. We had to do it. Then we did it. I went to Lubang. I pulled my strings and found some books and brought them. I brought more books than we were expecting, in fact, because I found the facilities. I had these facilities created because I worked for many centers and I knew where the books were. So um, what else do I have to say? Um, because time is not for me. What I have to say is that here we are. We have produced some kind of quality in the English teaching area. That's a quality that is needed for Benguela province. Um, we have supplied uh, most of the teachers we have today in the schools of Benguela, and some of our teachers are already in Kwanzaa Sul, and etc. etc. This makes me feel happy belonging to a team that had to fight a lot. You remember, because of bringing a lot of books in one kind of bag that was a black bag, I had been given the name of Mr. Bag, and I love that very much. But these guys told me very late when they had finished, they say, oh, you know what the name? Said, what name was it? Okay, we gave you the name of Mr. Bag because of that bag full of books. Why did I do that? Because I was the only person among us who was living far away. So I had to come for the morning, for the afternoon, and for the evening. We didn't have any teachers. We were just four with Makumbi. Yeah, so it was tough. I had to cover up these 3 periods. So I had to bring all the books for the day. And then that's how I worked. But I loved the name was really nice, Mr. Bag. The thing is that they didn't have enough guts to tell me that time. But what do I have to say? Coming to this date today, I can say that working is tough, and the lessons have been learned. And the lessons I have learned are that tough moments create strong learners, and strong learners create easy lectures. Easy lectures create weak teachers, and weak teachers create tough societies. Okay, that is to say, we have to raise a democratic environment which produces teachers for a competent and a just country, Angola. Because we have to remember every time that we are the ones who are producing the society we want to live tomorrow. The teachers we produce will be the teachers of our children. And the teacher these will produce will be the teacher of our children's children. The presidents of the future are being produced in our classrooms, so we have to be responsible. We have to understand that it needs to be tough enough to produce teachers of quality. And I always say, the English course is the best course you can find at Este ever. It's the only course that can make you a teacher and something else. It is the same course that is making me travel. Let me tell you where I am. I am now stopping over in Casa Blanca towards Australia and Melbourne, where on Saturday I will give my presentation. And with this, I wish you all good job and all the best for these seminars. I hope that hasn't been enough. That hasn't been a long time. Bye. Have a nice job.